I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in that room when law enforcement was questioning Jordan Willis. And what did he tell them that made them so confident that there was no apparent sign of foul play? Hey everyone, it's Lucky with Unfiltered Lucky. And today I want to talk a little bit about these three men who lost their lives in their friend's backyard in Kansas City. And I also want to do a quick walkthrough of the house so we can kind of take a look at what Jordan may and may not have been able to see in his backyard. Last time we talked about this fifth person that was discovered to be at the house that night of the Kansas City Chiefs football game. Now, this fifth person did retain a lawyer, and that attorney released a statement on his client's behalf. And this fifth person stated that he left around midnight, and that when he left, all four friends were still alive, still awake, and they were watching TV. They were watching Jeopardy. So this fifth person makes a statement through his attorney. So he didn't make a statement himself. He made a statement through his attorney and basically said that when he left, everything was fine. Now, it seems kind of strange to me that, if you had just gone over to a buddy's house and, visited for a little while and then you left and then something bad happened that night, why would you feel the need to retain an attorney unless you felt like something that you might say might incriminate you? So, if I was at a friend's house and then I left and something bad happened that night, I don't necessarily think that I would run out and get an attorney if I didn't do anything wrong. We know that Jordan Willis also lawyered up. He retained attorney John Paserno. Now, Jordan's attorney goes on this media tour and begins making statements on Jordan's behalf. The problem is these statements are conflicting. And that's when this starts to get really strange. Because Jordan, retained an attorney to speak for him. And now his attorney is making conflicting statements about really important information, like where Jordan last saw his friends alive. It's really odd because, I'm starting to believe that Jordan's attorney might need an attorney here soon because his story seems to change with every single interview that he does. Now, when he made his first statement, he said that Jordan had walked his friends to the door. They said their goodbyes, and then Jordan went to bed and went to sleep. Now, just a few days later, he came out and he said that Jordan had actually went to bed while the four men were still hanging out at his house. So now there's four men. So now there's five total. And this is when we find out about the fifth person who was in the house. Now, not only 2 hours later, Jordan's attorney makes another statement. And he says that Jordan did actually walk his friends to the front door. And then they said their goodbyes and he went inside and laid down on the couch and fell asleep. So, these statements continue to change. And I feel like Jordan's attorney is actually making things worse. I've read a lot of comments from all of you, trying to wrap your head around this the same way that I am. And, there's a lot of good, explanations and theories about why these three men ended up in Jordan's backyard and why they simply just didn't leave the backyard if they were in danger. Now, one of the explanations that I've read is that, these three men had been drinking all night and they were so drunk that they went into the backyard and passed out. And that's how they lost their lives. But I don't understand how three men would get that drunk and that they would all lose their lives at basically the same time because they were drunk. That just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I could understand if it was one person who went outside and passed out and froze. But it doesn't make sense to me that there were three people, and all three of these people lost their lives. So I wanted to take a walk through this house, and I want to kind of look at some angles where we can see, that Jordan may not have seen his friends in the backyard. Maybe the back of that house was so closed off, that Jordan really didn't see his friends in the backyard. So we're going to take a walk through this house, and you're going to kind of see why I don't believe that Jordan couldn't see out of the back of this house. Now, this is Jordan's old house now. But if you look at the interior of this house and you look at the family room in the back, there's a ton of windows in this house looking out to the backyard. A lot of windows. There's also two back doors. One is a completely glass slider, and the other one, it has a window in it as well. So when you look, at the house, there's a lot of windows looking out to the backyard. There's a door that leads, from the kitchen area to the backyard and, that little dining area. And there's also a door that leads from, the den or the TV room. So the back of this house is plastered with windows. So it's hard to believe that Jordan Willis, didn't just happen to be walking through his house and maybe glance out the backyard. I mean, one of the friends, it's reported, was actually sitting up on the back patio. So it seems as though even if Jordan had glanced out that back door, that he would have seen his friend sitting upright on the back patio. So it seems odd to me that Jordan wouldn't know that his friends were in the backyard and that he wouldn't put it together that his friends' cars were still parked out front. It just doesn't make sense. And there's still a lot of questions, about why. Why were these men in the backyard in the first place? And I want to talk about that a little bit. Now, we don't know that there were any illegal substances in these men's systems. We won't know that until the toxicology reports come out. So we don't know that. But I will say that when someone is ODing, from an illegal substance, it affects their breathing. It affects how you breathe. So I think it's very possible that maybe these men did, take some illegal substances or were slipped some illegal substances. They may not have taken them willingly, if they took them at all. But let's just say that, maybe these men did take some illegal substances and were having trouble breathing, which is usually a sign that somebody is ODing. And maybe they went to the backyard to get some fresh air. Maybe they felt like that would help. The steps when somebody's ODing on illegal substances, their breathing becomes labored and they become delirious. So maybe these three men were just kind of wandering around the backyard aimlessly because, their brains weren't working correctly. That's definitely a possibility. And like I said, I'm not saying that these men were on illegal substances. But I would be pretty surprised if when those toxicology reports come out that there wasn't something in their systems. So we'll find out when those toxicology reports come out, and I'll keep you updated on any updates that are happening in this case. I mean, they seem to be happening every few hours, so I'm going to try to keep you updated the best that I can. Now, please stay tuned for my next video, and please like and please subscribe to my channel if you like my content. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.